Welcome back to the Chattiest Panel Talk Show on television. I'm Zach, here with my co-hosts.
Riley Shea.
Ksenia Semenova.
Well, the tunnel bus has been canceled. This comes as Drew Dilkins vetoed the decision by council to keep the service. So is it the end of the line, or is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
I think, unfortunately, right now it's the end of the line anyways. I know a lot of people were fighting really, really hard to save it, and it's unfortunate that, all it took was the mayor to be like, no, we're not doing that. I know he has concerns about the budget, and Ksenia and I were talking about it earlier, so I know that she has some things to say about that. I think it's interesting to look at what's happening with other cross-border services across the country in the wake of issues with tariffs and things like that there's a lot of retaliatory measures happening. I know that there's some places like on either coast where often they let American ships kind of come into Canadian waters without much of a fuss because, we're border countries and it's very close. And now Canadians are saying, nope, that's not happening, and making Americans' lives generally more difficult. So one of the reasons Drew Dilkins cited for canceling this was part of that. Why should we be offering a service to the country that's not helping us? But all he's doing, I think, is actually hurting Windsorites because it's Windsorites using that service to go over across the border. It's not vice versa, right? So it's not actually, I don't think it's actually going to help with kind of Canada's fight against the measures that the U.S. government has put in place.
And another thing that we spoke earlier with Riley, it's about why he's cutting this from the budget because about the 10 days more leave, yes?
They're mandated to have 10 more days of sick leave.
Yes, and for the year, it costs the same as keeping the bus. It's like $1.6 million that I decided to calculate to look up. So the city is spending for the new city rink, this ice rink, $15 million. And he decided to spend more, $6 million, so it's $21 million for the ice rink that still is not operating. So
give the facts, Queen, give the facts.
So we have $21 million, and if we divide it for 1 and 6, so we would have 13 more years.
13 more years?
13 more years to
of the bus if we didn't build the stupid ice rink.
And also there is one thing that last week we had an event. There was an event held by Nate Hope, the activist from the transit, and I was asking their people if there are more kind of buses like this on the border cities in Canada. And it was the last bus that actually was kept.
So we are the last one, and now it's gone.
Yes, and it's gone. Yes.
Awful.
And let's not forget that the union will likely get involved. So I don't think it's the end of the story because they're likely going to come down hard on Drew Dilkins, probably much more harder than they already have. But let me be clear about one thing here. The 10 paid sick days. Notice that once the drivers started asking for those 10 paid sick days, all of a sudden the tunnel bus is the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, this whole strong mayor's power, because that's really what he used. The first time he actually gets to use it, he uses it on this. Yeah. Like he's some knockoff Harry Potter waving around his magic wand.
And actually something useful in the city.
Yes.
And also, let's not forget the city councilors who are also complicit in this, because yes, it is all about Mayor Drew Dilkins, but they needed the votes.
Yeah.
They did not get the votes. Mark McKenzie, my ward councilor, highly disappointed.
Yes.
He did not reach out to my emails or any emails from Activate Transit Windsor or anybody. Also, let's not forget Ed Sleeman and Joanne Geniak, who, by the way, have a combined age of 1,000. So I think it's time for them to retire in the next election, and I think it's time we start picking people who actually represent Windsor.
Zach.
If I decide to run, who knows? All right, thank you all for your input. Moving on to our next topic. That's right, we're evolving here on Let's Talk. We're going to be like The View. A writer wrote into Miss Manor saying that she had received the wrong order but struggled with if she should say something or not. So, should she have had said something?
So this is, depending on walk me through the scenario. Are we in a restaurant?
We are in a restaurant, yes. A food establishment.
I have sit-down restaurant?
Yes, sit-down restaurant. I get the
wrong order, totally wrong order, somebody else's food?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sending it back. I ordered what I wanted for a reason, I am sending it
Don't
back.
mix my filet mignon with somebody else's
that
fish.
People need to talk for themselves. Do you remember Legally Blonde, the movie?
Yes.
So, and she told, when you go to the hairdresser and he does not what you like, what do you need to say? I will not pay for this.
Yes.
I will not pay for this. And you just stand up and say, I didn't order.
This is not what I want.
Yes, the tartar.
Yes.
The tartar.
But I
don't know.
But I think it's in a way that, yes, you should say something, but I think it's how you say it.
Yeah, you
the
don't have to
tone.
be a jerk about it. You can
Of
just be
course
like,
not.
oh, I'm so
It's like-
sorry. Like, this must have got mixed up. Like, this isn't my order.
If I'm your waiter and you all of a sudden start saying, you know, hey you, or it's followed with this,
Yeah, it's snapping.
snap, I will take it back and I will spit in your food.
Okay.
I think, and so I think a sit-down restaurant, absolutely, especially like you're paying for a service and they're expecting you to tip for their service, and if they're bringing you the wrong order, that's you know,
Let your pencil
subpar
good
service.
and write it down.
I think sometimes I've been in situations where I eat out with some of my other friends and they have very specific requests, and sometimes if they forget to do that or something, that's happened to me before. I'm like, oh, I wanted sauce on the side, but sauce was on it. Like, if we didn't catch it, then I can live with that sometimes, but it depends. And other times we've had really good service and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, we made this wrong for you. Let's fix it.
Especially if it's something like your life-threatening allergy
Oh yeah,
too.
that for
Yes, for
if it's
yes.
just like a personal preference and I was like, oh, I wanted mashed potatoes instead of french fries, but you give me french fries instead, I might let that go.
You know, the other day we were in this restaurant that is in the Hilton Hotel. It's something like the room, I don't know the name.
Fancy, yeah.
Yes. And so we ordered our food and they brought some extra stuff and they understood that they make a wrong order, yes?
Yes.
And they just left food for us and they say, if you want, you're very welcome. You don't need to pay for this. It was very nice.
The extra stuff,
Yes,
the wrong
yes, it was
things.
actually very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause sometimes you'll get something like on the house.
Yes, if they're doing a good job, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I've had to turn back drink orders because like I wanted diet, but they gave me regular.
And that's a problem.
That is a
problem.
problem. I don't care nonetheless, but it is a problem.
It
All
can
right.
be a problem.
All right, well, that's this edition of Let's Talk. If you want to see the full version of this, you can head to the Zach Attack Productions YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time because it's the chatter that matters.
Bye.